Assalamualaikum, everyone. My name is Abu Ibrahim Bianguru. I am a fifth year sociology PhD candidate at the University of California, San Francisco. A lot of my research really focuses on how culture and tradition are influencing mental health manifestation. And so for today's talk, I am going to be exploring forgotten Sunnah practices and how this may be a solution to child development as it relates to adverse childhood experiences and mental health manifestation. So this is an overview of today's talk. I will be briefly talking about Sunnah and diving into three specific forgotten Sunnah practices. From there, I will theorize on how forgotten Sunnah practices are a solution to proper child development and end with a proposal to the Muslim community on how to raise Muslim children who are healed from adverse childhood experiences, they know themselves, and are God conscious. So, just a little breakdown. In Islam, much of our knowledge about the religion and its jurisprudence stems from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's direct words or the prophetic teachings. Through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's direct words, we have the Quran, and we learn the tafsir of the Quran. Through understanding its ayats, and we're building knowledge through that. And we also have Hadith Qudsi, which are sayings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that are not in the Quran. From prophetic teachings, we get a hadith, which are the sayings and the teachings of the Prophet, which have been passed down through chains of narration, and sunnah, which are the recorded behaviors and actions that the Prophet, peace be upon him, did. And so for today's talk, we will be focused on the Sunnah. Linguistically, Sunnah is described as a moral and natural law that people follow to establish normalcy in a society. So as Muslims, we really aspire to emulate prophetic Sunnah practices, and essentially these practices are what aid Muslims to become more righteous in their religion as well as better human beings overall. So, for today's talk, I want to explore three forgotten Sunnah practices that will help Muslims connect how these actions can establish a positive psychological influence on the young Muslims' development and just the overall greater Muslim society. So, the first forgotten practice is the importance of odds in Islam. Odds are intertwined in Islamic tradition, but their significance is often overlooked, making this a forgotten Sunnah practice. So, we see this in like the five pillars of Islam, the five daily salahs, the seven tawafs that we do around the Kaaba, and also like the 25 prophets mentioned in the Quran, and the list goes on and on. But we also see it in prophetic behavior, like how the prophet, peace be upon him, he would eat an odd number of dates, or how we seek out the odd nights within the last 10 nights of Ramadan, or how our witr salah after Isha is generally prayed in odd rak'ahs. So all of this really is a reminder of the ultimate odd, which is the one true God, which I think is quite poetic. As Muslims, we believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one and only, and even his other holy names are 99, once again highlighting this importance of odd. Essentially, by building awareness around the odds in Islam. As an individual, we are able to gain God consciousness in the mundane, and we're also learning to attribute their behavior and actions to the overall higher being. The second forgotten Sunnah practice is treating zakat as a non-monetary investment into the Muslim community. So most people know that zakat is a finite amount of wealth, which is 2.5%, that we are required to take from our wealth and give to the community if we are eligible. And what some may not realize is that zakat or charity exceeds beyond just the financials. In my paper, I highlight specifically hadiths 25 and 26 within the 40 Hadith book by Imam Nawawi, based on the commentary of Dr. Jamaluddin Zarabozo. And in both hadith, faith, the Prophet, peace be upon him, is informing his companions about other ways in which we are charitable that does not necessarily include wealth. So some examples are saying adhkar, or enjoining good and forbidding evil, clearing the road from any harmful substances, or even taking steps towards salah. So all of these are behaviors that we may already be incorporating in our daily life, but understanding its roots as it's actually a form of charity is what makes this a forgotten sunnah practice. Finally, the last forgotten sunnah practice is respecting the elderly beyond what may be culturally practiced within our communities. Many Muslim and non-Muslim cultures have values of revering the elderly, but as Muslims, have we really pondered around why this is a sunnah practice? The elders hold an important role in our society because they are our teachers, they're our leaders, they are our parents. Furthermore, the elderly are also a reminder of life in general and how fleeting life may be, based on, how, like, as you get older, your body functions may be decreasing over time. And so, this is a reminder to us to really do good in terms of our actions and also speak up for injustice while we are still alive. So, what does this all mean? Understanding the importance of odds allows a person to remember the most important one, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Almighty. Participating in acts of charity beyond just the financials makes a Muslim more community oriented and willing to be an active participant in the society around them. And finally, respecting the elderly places importance on knowledge as well as the sanctity of life. So, once again, what does this mean? So really to understand how to raise God-conscious Muslim children, we must really interrogate what actions and behaviors are being taught to these children that are influencing their development. So, for one, there's been extensive scholarship on the effect of adverse childhood experiences on the mental health manifestation of children, along with their view of self. And Muslim children are not void of experiencing adverse childhood experiences, unfortunately. And so it is crucial as parents that we are actively working to not create a home environment that is abusive or neglectful, because these are behaviors that will affect children well into adulthood. So, instituting adult-centered parenting will not only strengthen parent-child relationships, but it will also help provide children with a proper understanding of right and wrong. They will also have a healthy transition into adulthood and a strong sense of self. The opposite effect, or the opposite of this, is peer-centered parenting, in which a child is being influenced by their peers. And through peer-centered parenting, there's really this unhealthy understanding of morals and ethics, a rushed transition into adulthood, and a desperate attempt a desperate attempt at socialization without really understanding who they are as people. In this section, I reference the work done by scholar and physician Dr. Gabor Mate around trauma, addressing potentially abusive norms in the home, and how these are ways in which we can advocate for our children. So, by incorporating forgotten Sunnah practices in parenting, we are actively working to protect children from abuse and neglect. And we are also teaching them how to be emotionally regulated individuals who are empathetic to others and who are God conscious. So, what does this look like? Now, I'm going to talk about a proposal to the Muslim community. So, first, we must acknowledge our community trauma. The Muslim trauma is quite multifaceted and has three main prongs. So, one is the blatant Islamophobia and the violence that it ensues in our community, the death and the harm that has been caused as a result of Islamophobia. The second is the effect of this violence that draws a divide within our community, where we are fighting one another, we're killing one another, we're harming each other. And this is all a result of of the effects of Western imperialism and colonialism. And finally, the third is the trauma within our own community, specifically surrounding spiritual abuse, and looking at the harm and violence that is being done specifically towards Muslim women and children, but obviously Muslim men are affected as well. But Muslim women and children are significantly harmed the most with regards to spiritual abuse. So once we acknowledge our trauma, we must take the steps to reconnecting our body and spirit. Trauma affects us spiritually, and without taking care of our spiritual health, it is very hard to address anything else. And so below, I've outlined various different examples and ways that we can rebuild that connection, specifically with children, but also this advice is quite relevant to adults too. In this section, I reference tazkiyatun nafs, or the purification of the soul, as a necessary solution in order for these steps to occur. And so finally, um, once we've acknowledged our issues and done the work to heal, only then are we able to build resilience within ourselves and the community. Islam has always been viewed as foreign, and it will always be foreign until the last day. So it is really important that we hold on to our principles during this changing world. I provide one way as a solution, and that is through healing circles. And healing circles are a practice that is done by indigenous communities in order for people to come together as one, address an issue, and heal together as one community. And so essentially, this proposal aimed to showcase how incorporating forgotten Sunnah practices intertwined with everything that I just talked about is really going to help with regards to our healing process and us becoming more God conscious. And so, in order to restore well being, we must really restore our relationships and our community kinship. And by focusing on forgotten Sunnah practices, this paper really invites readers to learn more about the prophetic teachings that are in Islamic history and also prioritize the needs of the younger Muslim generation. And with that, I'm done. Thank you. Jazakallah khair.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was very interesting topic. I like it. So I think we will come for the question. So at the end, let's see. I think we have Sama here, but I am not sure if it is same person. I'm sorry. So if she can tell us. So Sama, it is your other last name is Bayraktar as well.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So the name that I get is different.
Uh,
Okay. So, okay, it's very good. At least we have another speaker. It's very nice. So, yeah, then we will continue with you, Sama. So, let me explain where Sama from. So, she's from the Fatih Sultan Mehmet Vakfı University. I think it's in Turkey.
yes, in Istanbul.
In Istanbul. Oh, nice. We love Istanbul. And she's actually mainly explained the canon of the medicine or about the Ibn Sina. So she will actually explain us how the mixture of the different substance could help us, for healing and so on. So please join me for welcoming the Sama. It's yours.
Um, First of all, hi everyone, distinguished chair, esteemed college, and fellow researchers. My name is Sema Bayraktar, Sema Şirin Bayraktar, and I am currently pursuing my master degree at Fatih Sultan Mehmet Vakıf University. Today, I will present Ibn Sina's approach to the treatment of heart disease, focusing on the compound remedies he describes and what they reveal about medieval Islamic medicine.
Would it be possible to make it full screen, please, if possible?
Okay.
From bottom, maybe. Mm, Yeah. One more. Yes, please. Okay, sorry. I think perfect now. Perfect. Thank you.
It's a great privilege to stand before you today to discuss one of the most influential figures in the history of science and history of global medicine, Ibn Sina, known the West as Avicenna. While much has been written about his philosophical contributions, today we dive deep into the practical clinical rigor of his pharmacological mastery. Specifically, we will examine the fifth book of his encyclopedic work, El Kanun fi Tıp, the Canon of Medicine, focusing on the systematic treatment of disease of the head. The head, in Ibn Sina's view, is not merely an anatomical region, but the set of the primary faculties. Therefore, its ailments required a sophisticated pharmaceutical approach that went beyond simple remedies. Our studies systematically examine these compound or composite drugs, multi-ingredients formulation designed to restore the delicate balance of the human body. Uh, Before we look at the recipes themselves, we must understand the why behind Ibn Sina's pharmacology. His work is deeply rooted in Galenic humoral theory. He did not view a headache as a singular symptom, but as a manifestation of an internal imbalance, often an excess of heat, cold, dryness, or moisture. His prescriptions follow a functional compositional logic. Every drug he formulated was a carefully balanced balanced system consisting of all four parts. One, active ingredients to target the primary illness. Two, auxiliary components to support the active ingredients. Three, carrier substance to make the drug applicable, such as oils or vinegars. For corrective elements, crucial components designed to mitigate the side effect of potent substances. For instance, if a disease was classified as a head, he prescribed cooling compounds if cold warming substances were used. This logic extended to the temperament of the organ itself. He recognized the brain has its own unique nature that must be respected during treatment. Ibn Sina begins his discussion on head disease with a topical application. Specifically, ointments frequently cite the physician Antonius, providing two specific formulations primarily used as analgesic for headaches. These ointments were not a simple paste. They involved a complex preparations process. Ingredients like opium, saffron, anise, henbane, and yellow resin were powdered, mixed with vinegar, shaped into tablets, and dried in the shade. When a patient suffered from a headache, these tablets were dissolved in vinegar and applied to the temples or shakak. What is the fascinating here is the inclusion of potent narcotic like opium and henbane. And with aromatic stabilizer like saffron and sweet basil. This demonstrates an early understanding of localized pain management through skin absorption. Um, And nasal administration or a nasal administration. Perhaps the most unique aspect of Ibn Sina neurology is his use of the nasal route. He believed that the nose provided a direct pathway to cleanse the interior of the brain and facilitate the expulsion of excess fluids. He presents five distinct nasal preparations. One formulation uses black cumin, ammonium salt, and silver colocynth mixed into olive or lily oil. Another more potent version uses a cucumber and Greek cyclamen dissolved in woman's milk to be inhaled. Ibn Sina explicitly states that these remedies cleanse the stones and warm the head, removing the pathological waste that the believed cause a neurological distress. This reflects a profound intervention rather than just symptomatic reliefs. The use of aromatic substances like musk or misk, camphor, um, camphor, and amber in this preparation also suggests a primitive understanding of how scent and volatile oils can affect brain states. Ibn Sina was a firm believer that you cannot treat the head in isolation. You must treat the whole body to this. He utilized oil purgatives to expel excess humors from the system, which he believed were the root cause of head ailments. He introduced extensive purgatives attributed to like Bustus or Eustace and Darius. These contained a staggering array of ingredients, sometimes over a dozen, including white pepper, aloe, wormwood, and Indian spikenard. His pharmacological sensitivity is most evident in his dosage instruction for the Hab al-Selim. Appeal for complete head purification. He provides precise measurements. A strong dose is 7 grams, while a minimum dose is 4.5 grams. This this highlights his transition from folk medicine to the standardized clinical practice. Mhm. Moving to specific condition, Ibn Sina treatment for migraine is remarkably detailed. For standard migraines, he used tablets containing copper, sulfate, uh, alum, and opium, which were diluted with sharp wine or vinegar before administration. For chronic migraines, he shifted to a topical preparation applied not just to temples but to the middle of the forehead. Um, for epilepsy and headaches caused by excess phlegm, he prescribed root decoction. This involved boiling a complex mixture of celery root, fennel root, and mountain mint, then adding aloe. And importantly, he demonstrated a clinical flexibility. He explicitly notes that for elderly patients, an milder variation of this decoction must be used. This is an early example of personalized medicine, adjusting the potency of a drug based on the patient's age and condition. Um, In conclusion, Ibn Sina approach to the heart disease in Book 5 of the Canon reveals a physician who was as much as chemist as he was a clinician by utilizing diverse toolkit of herbal, mineral, and aromatic components. He sought to restore a lost internal balance. His works provides that medieval Islamic medicine was not merely a preservation of Greek knowledge, but an advanced rational system that integrated a theory with meticulous practical application. Ibn Sina emerges not just as a theorist, but as a medical authority who shaped clinical practice for centuries by providing a detailed, functional, and personalized therapeutic formulation. That's it. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was very interesting. Very interesting to see even 1,000 years ago, more than 1,000 years ago, the medication way that they used till we can use it now. Very interesting. Very interesting. So I think we don't have our last speaker, but what we can do, we can start with some question if we have some question from audience. So do you have any question from any of you, any listener? Can I start, or maybe I can break ice some? So I think let's start with the first speaker, and then I will come to you, Samam. So, like when we think about the Sunnah, right? So generally it is like the religion, right? So for Islam, right? So do you have something that like that can we get this Sunnah and apply it to the secular community or the other people that, right? So unbeliever believer to solve like some behavioral disorder and so on. Do you have some idea about that?
Yeah, so that's I guess I didn't explicitly talk about that, but that's essentially kind of like what I was trying to draw the connection where like we have a lot of these psychological issues like the adverse childhood experiences, we have a lot of like this trauma research, we have we have a lot of this idea that oftentimes, these psychological issues can only be solved through medicinal ways and, through ways in which are a little bit more secular leaning. But something that I found is that there's a lot of health benefits with regards to the Sunnah and practicing Sunnah. And in my paper, I actually talk about how there's actually a lot of health benefits for with regards to religion and spirituality, and like individuals who practice a religion or consider themselves to be more spiritual generally tend to live healthier lives because they're not involved in too many risky behaviors. There's a reduced amount of anxiety and depression because there's this belief of like something else. Um, and there's also the benefit with regards to the sense of belonging and like, you have this community, this society that you identify with. And so, as people, we're generally social beings. And so, being able to be a part of a community and like have this like social identity generally ends up with us living more better quality of life. And so, yeah, I definitely believe like by incorporating more Sunnah practices into this like the secular realm, I think there's definitely a connection, and these aren't two separate entities.
Thank you so much. Sorry, I just get some questions, so I'm not sure. So one person asking if we can share your presentation or not. I will figure out, and then so if you are agreeing,
Okay.
you can share with them. I am not sure, so I have to ask some people. But
Okay.
it's very nice. It's very nice. Thank you so much. Yeah, because right now, the in the United States, especially the loneliness, let's say, is like really issue,
Mhm.
right? So I think Sunnah could be very, very, very, very important part to check and kind of to generate the solution. Thank you so much. It's very interesting. So like this circle thing as well, because I can see that here in around, right? So when we have friend around, when you go to masjid or so on, you have some community, but when you check around, some people like they are not part of any community, right? So it will be general question. It's not for you, maybe, right? So do you
Yeah.
think how can we kind of to find a circle to put them, or like I think they will not come for the Islam, but the some other thing that we can use. Any Do you remember any sunnah that even they are not believer that we can use some, put them in something, not Islamic circle, but other circle? Do you have some?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like throughout Islamic history, there's been this idea of like community gathering, whether it's like through like like almost like a halakha, like where you formulate this like circle, you formulate this group, and you're coming together to talk about, yes, like you're talking about Islamic issues, you're talking about philosophical issues, but at the crux of it, you're also trying to just like join community. And so you're learning about people, you're checking in with them, you're seeing how they're doing outside of this circle, right? And so I think like if and I actually like talk a little bit about this in my paper where, within like masjids can also do it too. Like, yes, like growing, like me personally, I grew up going to halakas, I went to youth groups. So like these were all just different ways in which I was still getting involved with the community. Like yes, we're learning about the religion, but the crux of it is really just like formulating friendships and like, coming together and socializing and coming together and checking in with each other. And so I think if masajids can do this a little bit more. Often I feel like there's a lot of this within the children's generation, but like as young adults, it's not as strongly there. And so I think this is why we're seeing a lot of loneliness. We're seeing a lot of like disconnection. We're seeing a lot of like socialization that's going on with regards to like the younger adults slash adults. And so I think, yeah, so I 100% agree that there needs to be a little bit more incorporation, both within the masjids and like community centers, but then also just like a third space where, people can just come together, like not just to learn about religion, but just to come together and socialize and, formulate those connections. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I see. I think I will leave you a bit, and I will come
Yeah,
back to
yeah, of
you.
course.
So I will ask her, actually some question to the Sama if she. So actually, thank you so much, Sama. Really, it is for. I mean, that we are reading history and so on, and then you forget everything. Sometimes. So it's very fascinating because I'm working on the cancer and still in the combination therapy. This is very effective one. It is like he did 1,000 years ago, but it is most fascinating thing that we can see here, combination is working now. I don't,
Hmm.
not single thing. So, but when we do the study here, right, so we put a lot of effort to understand how this combination therapy is working, right? So we have so many experiments and so on. So when you consider the Ibn Sina, it will generally, you don't need to say, I mean, explain well, how he find that all this interesting drug, right? So what was, I mean, how he decide to combine these two things, you know, do you have some information about it? If you like that. So you're on mute actually. Can you hear us? We cannot hear you, by the way. You are on mute. Can you unmute, please? So we cannot hear you again. As to unmute. Okay, I ask. So,
Sorry.
sorry. Now we can hear you well.
Um, I didn't understand your question. Can we discuss this via email?
Sure, of course, I can. Definitely,
Okay.
definitely. Okay, so it's definitely fine. Yeah, because it's historical. I just wonder, like, how he decided to, to combine saffron with another thing, right? How he decide, right? Why he find the saffron and say, okay, let's combine this together for head, right? So.
Hı hı.
Do you have some?
Okay, 1 minute.
Uh, it's fine. Bana Türkçe'de de anlatabilirsiniz. Ben çeviri de yapabilirim. Hiç sıkıntı değil.
Öyle olursa daha iyi olur.
Ben şey merak ediyorum. Şimdi mesela İbn Sina iki molekülü şey yapıyor ya, birbirine karıştırıp hastaya veriyor ya.
Hı
Bunu
hı.
nasıl mesela karar veriyor? Hani bu moleküllerin
Hı hı.
karıştırmamız gerektiğini nasıl mesela karar veriyor buna? Ya da bir deney yapıyor mu önceden ya da
Tabii deneyler yapıyor. Zaten bunlar denenmiş formülasyonlar. Yani önceden beri kitaplarda olsun veya işte Galen'in de denediği deneyler olsun. Zaten akrabazin geleneği diye bir gelenek var İslam tıbbında. Akrabazin kitapları var. Bunlar çeşitli hani hastalıkların, farklı hastalıkların işte için hani düzenlenmiş ve denenmiş oluyor genelde. E, Ve bunların toplanmış olduğu kitaplara deniyor akrabazin. E, Ve burada zaten İbn Sina'nın bu beşinci kitabında ve son bölümü yani eczacılıkla ilgili bütün hastalıklarla, genel hastalıklarla ilgili hani başucu kitabı gibi hani eğer bir hastalığın varsa gidip buna bakabilirsin şeyi değerlendirmeleri. Ee, Bu şekilde.
kitabın ismi neydi, daha söyler misin? Ee, Beşinci kitabı dediniz ya, ismi var mı? Neydi kitabın ismi?
Akrabazin bölümü. Yani beşinci kitabın ismi yani Five Book diye
Tamam.
geçiyor.
Ben şey yapabilirim. So basically, when I ask question, how he decided to combine these two drugs, so as I understand, so there was already experiment. They know that the certain drug or the certain drug will be fine, for the patient, and then they decide to combine them together. So, and it's very interesting. As I understand, she say like there was a like the book that you can put beside before the sleeping, let's say, and then you can read. And when, let's say, if you have a headache, so you can check the book and figure out what kind of the symptom you have, and then you can get some interesting medication as well. So it's very interesting, very interesting. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So actually, let's see if the guy that the last presenter will be still here or not. So I think we don't have some people joining. Yeah, so I think so. Do you have any of you have any question that we can ask?
Assalamu
Or
alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Uh,
What?
this is this is Kamrul Islam from Chester, Virginia. Thank you very much for organizing this session, and thanks to presentation uh, to both presenter. Mashallah, they have done very good job on presenting. The this just Sister Sema mentioned about the in the response which you asked the question, it intrigued me that we see that close to about 1200 years ago, Ibn Sina, 1300 years ago, I don't know exact time frame, but he took the approach of all three aspects of the medicine delivery. He took the approach of quality of the medicine, safety of the medicine, and efficacy of the medicine. And this is the three aspects which the health authority here in the United States, FDA, regulate extremely well. And if any one of the aspect is not balanced, is medicine is being not approved. So my question to Sister Sema is that uh, she reflected the presentation on the migraine and headache and a cancer. Is there any comprehensive book approach of Ibn Sina is translated into English? Not. If they are, what are those books and where they could be available?
So okay, actually, let me check. I am not sure actually. Let me see. I can check as well. Bu kitap var mı hiç sana? Biliyor musun bu İbn Sina'nın Türkçe, İngilizce çevrilmiş kitabı? I can check actually. Let me check very quickly maybe.
And if you permit me, I have a, a complimentary comment to presentation of the Sister Abu when you are
Yes, go
ready.
ahead. I think she will figure out what is question. So what is the book, and in meantime you can ask the.
So I don't have a question, but rather a complimentary comment to Sister Abu presentation. When the when you ask that the how can we bring non-Muslims
How can we bring non-Muslims
to the session or to what is called study
or to
circle learning
what
session to deal with the
circle
trauma and things like
learning
that?
to we listen we hear you 2 times. I don't know if it is issue my side or your side.
I don't know what is going
Okay,
on.
now again go ahead. Now it's better, I think.
So the what I remember from the Prophet time is that the Prophet, when he established his Masjid Nabawi in Medina, it was established and gained an extraordinary trust from the people around the masjid, not in the city but also outside of the city. That everyone knew that the if we go, particularly non-Muslims, if we go to this masjid, whoever we want to talk, they will talk in a very friendly manner, very brotherly manner, and whatever we talk, they listen, they will participate, but they will not share with anyone what we talk with them. This particular realization enabled the non-Muslims to come to Masjid Nabawi uh, from the the outside even Medina, and they would find someone talk, they will leave, and it is still even it is reported in a book of Sirah that the two of the people came, they talked, they went back. One of them asked that you already basically told everything which you will not even tell to your father or your wife, and you are sharing these. And he responded, which is very important. He said that these people, they are very trustable. What I talk and share with them, they will not share with anyone unless they will get the permission from me. And I wanted to talk these things to enlighten myself, to feel that I have shared with someone, but I know that they whatever they heard, they actually take it as an amana and they will not share. So you formulate it into present days that the and this is a kind of the approach which could be adopted. The masajid of our time, they need to interact with non-Muslim to an a level that they first need to develop the trust with the Muslim and being welcome to the masjid. When they come, they are highly regarded, they are treated with respect and dignity and humanity. And once it happened, they feel very comfortable to talk. So then they could be associated with, which Sister Abu mentioned, with the study circle, with the this psychological approach to deal with the people is exceptionally important. And the this could be institutionalized. Basically, if you see what was happened then in the Prophet time, it was basically a psychological session was in place without being institutionalized, without being said about it, and that could be done in every masjid.
Thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much. So I find that actually, I'm not sure if she check as well. I check it actually beside, I mean, the canon of the medicine. So they translate it a bit in English, but not whole the book. So you can check this one as well. This book is canon of the medicine. It's partially translated, and you can check the book of healing as well. So there is some book that you can check. I mean, I think these two part you can check, but it's it's generally translation. It will be not the exact, it will be not that good, but yeah. Or you can check the Book of the Salvation as well. So yeah,
I
if
know
you want
there's also
something.
Prophetic Medicine. I think I have that book. I don't remember the author, but I can also send that title.
I can also send.
Is it possible to write the name of the books here in the text?
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure, we can.